Hello ladies and gentlemen, God's Woodsman here for you. Thank you so much for joining me for another God's Woodsman's video. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a snare for trapping game. Coming up. I hope you stay with me. Okay, all you're basically going to need for this making this snare is some kind of a multi-tool. And I use a Gerber multi-tool. And I'll have a link down below to which Gerber multi-tool this is. And some snare wire. And you can use picture frame wire. There's all different kinds of wire you can use. But this is just what I personally like to use. It's, rolled up and it's easy to store it. There's a couple different colors. It blends in, so as you can see, it's actually kind of hard to see. Which is good for us because in the animals it's hard for them to see it. But what we're going to do to make this snare is we're going to take a small twig like this. Just a nice small twig. And then we're going to take our snare wire and just wrap it around that stick. And then grab the two pieces. Hopefully you can see that. It's kind of hard when it's blending in. Grab those two pieces in your fingers and then spin the twig. And you just go spin the twig round and round and round. And after you do that a little bit, break the twig. So see the wire? It's all tight around here like that. Now we're just going to break the twig. And what we have here is a nice little loop that we can use to snare something with. And after you make this little part, what I'm going to recommend you do, take that snare wire, and you got the loop in between your fingers, the loop, go around your arm and back up to your fingers. That's enough length for a snare. And then we're just going to cut it here. Now, after we cut it, we're going to take the little loop that we have here, and we're going to put the end we just cut through the loop. Now we have a snare. So, now we have our snare. Perfect. Now, the disadvantages to a snare and the advantages to a snare is they're very easy to make, as you can tell. I can make hundreds, maybe even 1,000 with what I have on that little spool. The disadvantages is you can't pick what you're going to catch in this. It could be somebody's dog, somebody's cat. You could catch something a lot bigger than what you want, which most likely they break free of this. But you don't get to pick. The other thing is, it doesn't kill it, most likely. It's just going to hold it there until you get there. So this is something that when you use a snare like this, be prepared to kill an animal when you do find it. You need to be able to kill it humanely so you're not letting it suffer, but you are going to have to most likely kill this animal. I've done this a lot with rabbits and squirrels, and I've bashed a lot of rabbits and squirrels over the head to kill them. And the other thing is, the reason you would use a piece of wire instead of a piece of parachute cord is whatever you're catching most likely has teeth. And if it's got teeth, it can chew through a piece of parachute cord very quickly. A piece of snare wire is going to have a lot harder time chewing through it. The other thing with a snare is you don't want it to be there for a couple of days or anything like that. You only want it to be there hours. You need to check your snares very frequently. And in a survival situation, or even if you're just on a long-term bushcrafting trip or something, and you happen to be doing some snaring, what you want to do if you're actually trying to survive off of them is you need lots of snares, not just one or two. Just keep that in mind. And you need to check your local game laws on when you're allowed to trap and when you're allowed to snare, just as a little disclaimer. So now, let's go show you how to put one of these in. Okay, something like this is what we're looking for. You can see it, these mounds of dirt that are around here. So some kind of a critter has been in here digging. And I think I found one of his front doors. There's maybe another one. So something like this is what you're looking for. It's a good place to put a snare. And as you can tell, I'm not going to be snaring a cow here, it's going to be a very small little critter. But something like this is what you're looking for to set that snare. Okay, right here is where I decided to set my snare. So what I'm going to do is first take my piece of wire and put it right down in here. Now you want this to be small enough that when the little critter comes out, he's going to get his head stuck in this loop. You want him to be able to get his head through, but you don't want his whole body to be able to run through. So it's kind of a judgment call about how big you need it to be. Something like that's what we're looking for. And as you can tell, it's very hard to see, even for us. And then you're going to take the wire and just kind of stick it in there very carefully. Just like that. So hopefully that little critter's going to come out. Now, you can't even see what I was just doing, can you? It's almost completely invisible, which is good. So, then you take the other end of the snare wire. Okay, so now, once we have the snare there, we are going to want to put the stake the exact opposite of where the hole is. So if the hole's here, I don't want to put it here, because then that piece of wire can go all the way up here before it's going to start pulling. I want it to start pulling the second he touches it. So I'm going to put the stake over here. Like so. Then I'm going to take the snare wire and come up and wrap around this. And with wire, usually all you have to do is just wrap it around and maybe twist it around it a couple times, because it's not going to come loose very easily with snare wire. Something just like that. So then, I'm going to demonstrate if I was the squirrel, which is probably what this is a ground squirrel. So if he comes out of his little hole and gets his little head stuck in here, as soon as he comes up, it's going to start pulling on him. And then he's going to be able to try to run. He's going to try to go back down to this hole, but there's no place he can go. You still got the snare around him, and he's going to pull, but he's not going to be able to get loose. I might even go around that stick one more time, just to tighten it up even a little bit more. Because I really hate when they go charging down their hole and you can never find them again. So just wrap the snare wire maybe around that one more time, maybe even one more time, because you want it to pull on them as soon as they come up out of that hole. So there's the stake, the snare, the little hole, and right there's the snare. Just like that. And the cool thing about wires, you can kind of bend it and flex it and get it exactly where you want it. Just like that. So this has been God's Woodsman on how to make a snare. Thank you so much for watching. Please check out my YouTube channel for more of my videos. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out my website at godswoodsman.com. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.